people that drink on most weekends?
No, I don't.
No, I don't have any friends out there.
Yes. I know a couple of my friends who do drink on the weekends.
Yeah, I do. It kind of bothers me.
Yes. Just like friends.
A couple of my friends do.
A lot of my friends drink on the weekends with their older brothers and like with their friends and stuff like that.
Probably like teenagers and stuff. They just do it for fun at parties and stuff.
At parties, I know some people who drink, but like not like that bad.
Yes, I do know a lot of people that drink most weekends.
Oh yeah, a lot of people, all my friends and stuff.
My friends drink all the time, and a lot of people that I go to college with drink.
Yes, I do know people that drink most weekends. As a matter of fact, I do.
A lot of people I know drink almost every weekend, even during the week.
I know people who drink every day.
We all know the dangers associated with the abuse of alcohol.
It breaks down inhibitions, making it easier to act in ways in which we would not otherwise.
Perhaps drunk driving or getting in a car with a drunk driver.
Putting oneself in a sexual situation which can lead to pregnancy, rape, or a sexually transmitted disease.
And other less dangerous but embarrassing situations likely to ruin a reputation by being posted on the web or passed around on camera phones.
If that weren't enough, many families have a history of alcoholism.
A disease 5 times more likely to occur in teens who drink regularly by age 15 than in those young adults who do not drink until 21.
With all of the illegality, risk, and bodily harm of underage drinking, why is it that more and more teens can't seem to have a good time without it?
The lure of drinking. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jess.
And I'm Kenny.
And this is Realfaith TV.
Our spotlight guest today is a former host of RFTV, Dylan.
He'll share his experiences of staying away from alcohol during his high school years when everyone else was doing it.
We'll talk with him in a few minutes as well as meet our studio guest.
But first, let's go back to the teens on the street where we asked them, do you think it's easy for teenagers to obtain alcohol?
Let's hear what they had to say.
Do you think it's easy for teenagers like you to obtain alcohol?
Yes, I do.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really, because of like parents and stuff like that. It's not that easy for us to get alcohol.
I don't think it's easy for me to get alcohol.
I think it's easy for teenagers like me to get alcohol.
Yeah, kind of. It's not that hard.
Most likely, yeah, because fake IDs and connections, all that stuff.
Fake IDs? I don't know, I guess it depends on who you know. It probably is if you ask somebody who's older.
Have a friend that's 21 or older brother or sister or something.
Usually people who have older brothers or sisters, they are able to get alcohol, or if they have friends that are older or places that will sell underage, they can get alcohol easily.
It's very easy to get alcohol.
Like if you're going to like a club or like a party or something, there's usually like drinks and stuff.
I know, I definitely agree with one of the teens on the street. I think lately, bars don't card or ID people as frequently, and I feel like there are almost always instances where people can get alcohol. Like if they're really hard set on getting on it, then they're gonna figure out how to get it.
Let's see what our studio guests have to say.
Okay, they are Matt, Bill, Charlotte, Tiffany, Ijama, Kayla, and Mary.
How common is drinking among us and like your guys' friends?
And is it easy for us to obtain alcohol?
I think it's very easy for us to obtain alcohol, especially these days when like a lot of us look a lot older than we really are. So it's very easy to actually, like the other day I was at a staff party and like there was like, because there's older people who work there, they had like an open keg and stuff, and like all the bosses were coming up to me like, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, because I'm not old enough. They're like, yeah, you are. I'm like, no. So it's like very easy to actually just even trick people into giving it to you.
Yeah, I think my friends really don't drink that much. I don't drink either. But as far as obtaining alcohol, my best friend just turned 18 and he looks like he's 21. When he was 17, he looked like he was 21. He's got the facial hair going and everything. But you know, he's like, you know, if I really wanted to buy alcohol, I could just go up and buy it. Like nobody would card me. Nobody would think I'm 17 or 18.
I'm a junior college, so almost everyone drinks, and you know, it's pretty much commonplace in college, but there are some people who don't drink there.
Yeah, and even if you're not drinking at a party, I mean, it's really easy to get alcohol out of like a liquor cabinet that parents have, so I think it's very common for teenagers to drink.
I think underage drinking is definitely more common than it used to be, but I know a lot of people who have surprised me. Like, I'll go to parties and be like, oh, I'm not into that. And other people will too. Like, you always kind of think that you're gonna stand out, but it's been a blessing for me to have a lot of friends who don't give into that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's it's as common as everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's really good to surround yourself with people who don't drink. That way you have that support.
Despite the raised drinking age in the United States, it seems like the trend of teenage drinking is on the rise.
Let's meet our spotlight guest, Dylan, where he discusses how teenage drinking is commonplace.
And how some of his peers can't seem to have a good time without the presence of alcohol.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Most of the people that I know drink, most of my peers. I know people from both ends of the spectrum. There are people who are even more than every weekend, like before school, after school, hanging out, can't have a good time without alcohol. I do have other friends who just do it once in a while, maybe not even every weekend, maybe just once a month, twice a month. I wouldn't say that pre-gaming is popular among my friends. Most of my friends aren't heavy enough drinkers that they feel a need to do it, but it's definitely something that happens in my school. The kids who drink the most usually tend to do it. That's one of the things that really turns me off from drinking, because it's just the epitome of not being able to have a good time without alcohol. If you feel you have to drink before you even go out. Getting alcohol doesn't seem to be any problem. When I hang out with people, a lot of times there's the big question early in the night is, how are we gonna get stuff? They just call it stuff. Usually they find a way. There's older brothers and sisters. Some parents will buy alcohol for their kids and their kids' friends, and I guess then they feel like they have more control over the situation, and if they get it for them and they let them do it at their house, they know where they are, and they think that's better than if they were to just let them go out on their own and find their own means. But usually, by hook or by crook, they find some way to get alcohol. When you're growing up, you look at older kids and you think, oh, they're older, they can drink. And then all of a sudden it just hits you, everyone your age is doing it too. And that makes it a little harder. And I think that's how gradually more kids my age start falling into it. And then it just becomes the norm.
I know before Dylan mentioned pre-gaming, which kind of refers to drinking and getting drunk before going to like a big event. And somebody I know, she drank before her senior prom, and she thought that she couldn't have a good time without being drunk at her prom, and she wanted everybody else to do it, and you know, we ended up not doing it, and she didn't even remember the night, which really stinks because that's a big night when you're a high school senior. Peer pressure has always been an issue for teens who may not realize they can make better choices on their own.
Disturbingly, many of us who would not drink at home are likely to try alcohol with a friend.
Also, in a study by the American Family Association, 1/3 of teenagers admitted to being a passenger in a car with a teenage driver who had been drinking.
Although we're still developing the ability to make problem-solving decisions,
we are capable of choosing not to drink when faced with that possibility.
Next, Dylan talks to us about how he chooses to say no, even when everyone around him is drinking.
Let's hear him now.
I do know how to say no. It's easy for me because I guess at the time when all my friends were first starting to drink and it became a big thing, I never got into it. And I do have some close friends who don't drink, who make it easier for me to say no because we all go to parties together. And when you have that support system, makes it a little easier. But I can go to a party and be the only person there not drinking. I never really put myself in those positions when I was younger, and I didn't know if I was capable of saying no. As I got older and more mature, I knew that I was going to be able to turn down alcohol or drugs or anything that I knew probably wouldn't be good for me. I guess it started when I was younger, just out of fear of getting in trouble. I never wanted to put myself in that position where my parents would find out. And I had older siblings who were drinking, and just seeing them sometimes in states where they were out of it just never really seemed like anything I wanted to be a part of. My friends are good about not pressuring me because by this point they know that I'm not going to drink. So for me, saying no it's not really that hard to do. My close friends just came to accept me for what I am. Now they know Dylan's here, he's not going to be drinking tonight, which is a good thing because I like being that guy that people can count on for a ride home. You always know that I'm not going to be drinking, so I'm always there for you. But at times, it's a little too much, and I can't really, I'm not up to putting myself in the situation where I'm the only one not drinking, because as much as I would like to say that I influence my friends, in a way I really don't, because, you know, they still do it. But when my friends tell me that they wish that they didn't drink so much, or they're proud of me for not drinking, they think like that's a cool thing, then it makes me feel good.
So what do you think is the real lure of drinking?
I think just wanting to hang out with your friends, be cool with them, like going to parties and stuff and being cool to your peers. It's like, that's the main lure of drinking. People want to stick with that.
And even also because we're not legally allowed to be drinking alcohol, so it kind of makes us feel like we're being a rebel and we're doing something like normal people don't do. So we're making ourselves cooler by doing something out of the box.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because in other cultures you see, like in Europe, there's not as much teenage drinking because they're allowed to drink when they're like 16 or whatever the legal drinking age is, and they serve alcohol everywhere and people are allowed to do it, so people don't want to do it. Whereas here in the United States, 21 is like, wow, you get to drink.
Alcoholism can lead to a destructive spiral and is a harder state to overcome than to enter.
Even without a family history, the dependence on alcohol can affect anyone who is prone to drinking regularly, especially as a teenager.
While drinking can start on a whim or because of peer pressure, it is just as likely to continue because it is a way to numb some kind of pain.
Whether because of family strife, social issues, or trouble at school.
Many times, teens try to mask the issue rather than seeking help, turning instead to alcohol.
Next, we asked the teens on the street if they knew people their age who drank regularly or got drunk.
And if they knew anyone who used alcohol to deal with the pain or difficulty.
Do you know people your age who drink regularly or get drunk?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes. I know a couple, but not really a lot. I know kids that go to parties that get drunk.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, all my friends, like I said, 18-year-old kids, high school kids, all of them.
I do know people that get drunk a lot every day.
Yes, I know people that get drunk every day.
I know people my age and younger than me that get drunk every day.
If there's like a party, like I said before, they sometimes drink and sometimes they overdrink, so they get drunk and they do stupid things.
All of my friends drink and get drunk all the time.
Have you or anyone you know ever used alcohol to deal with pain or difficulty? Can you explain?
No, not for pain. It's more of a recreational thing.
It's for fun. They've never really used it for like depression purposes.
Drinking is just more of like a casual thing to have fun.
Some of my friends who are depressed, they try and drink alcohol.
Yeah, I know a few people. Some of my friends drink to ease their pain. My friend broke up with her boyfriend and she drank a lot.
My cousin, when my grandma died.
I know a lot of people that are depressed and they use alcohol as a supplement for their depression.
I have this uncle who just got in a bad relationship with his wife. He's been going to alcohol a lot to get away his pain.
My uncle kind of does that. I guess he's like depressed and stuff, so he just goes to alcohol, like, you know, as a resort to help him feel good.
I know a lot of people where a friend of mine lost her dad and she drinks every day now. She became like a real heavy alcoholic and we're trying to get her off of it.
You know, a lot of teens on the street said that people use alcohol to get away from their troubles, to ease the pain. But really, alcohol is actually a depressant. It doesn't help depression, it makes it worse. So when you're drinking to get rid of a problem, it's only making it worse.
I have a friend who doesn't drink for that purpose, she just does it for fun. And she would get drunk all the time and she'd come into work and she'd be hungover. I'm like, why do you do that to yourself? Like, I wouldn't, like, every day I see you, you're like that. She's like, oh, it's just for fun. I'm like, doesn't sound like too much. So it's really like weirded me out a little bit.
I kind of agree with you. I have a friend who like drinks all the time. She's like, it just makes you crazy and it makes you have fun. And I'm like, I'm crazy enough as it is. I can have fun without alcohol, you know. And if you know me, I'm really like woo all the time. So like, you know, it's just you don't need alcohol. And people think that just because you have alcohol, you act different. I want to remember the crazy things I do. I don't want to like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, like actually, like almost all my friends, they drink, and they're always telling me like how fun it is and stuff. But I really don't think it's that fun to get like drunk and not remember what happened, you know.
There's a friend of mine that drinks she has a lot of problems back at home, So she kind of uses it as her escape to forget about all her problems that she has. But like you said, Phil, it just makes it all worse. It's a depressant.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who drink, being at college and stuff, but one of my close friends, she drinks and she does real stupid things, like she mixes things that she shouldn't be mixing, and then she comes back and tells me, my other friend, oh, I did this and that. We're like, why do you do that? And she doesn't really give us a straight answer. I don't think she understands, it's not something you should brag about and try to, prove something.
I do agree with you. I know people who just drink to do something because they have nothing better to do with their lives than just sit at home and waste time by just sitting and looking at each other. So drinking is like a escape in a way, but also just to do something.
Next, Dylan talks about some of the dangers of underage drinking and excessive use of alcohol.
And how 2 people in his life dealt with the very serious consequences of alcohol abuse.
The police were involved, there was alcohol in the car, and they got pulled over. The girl never knew she had a problem because she never really thought of herself as any more of a drinker than the people she hung out with. After this incident where she got in a lot of trouble, her parents got her to start seeing someone to talk about her problem. She used to be, I would say, an every weekend drinker, and since then, she's given it up. She admits that now that she did rely on alcohol to fill voids in her life that she didn't have an answer for. Now that she's given up drinking, she says she's a lot happier, she has more fun, and things are just all around better in her life. Unfortunately, sometimes it does take drastic measures to help you change. One of my good friends, after breaking up with his longtime girlfriend, we noticed that he started drinking a lot and became a little more distant, and throughout high school it only kind of got worse. We try to help him out, and it's just important, I guess, to tell your friends that you are there for them and they don't have to go to alcohol or drugs or anything like that to help them cope with their problems. But sometimes it's definitely hard, and I've definitely seen it in my group of friends. You never really know. It's like a variable once alcohol comes into the picture, and you may be going into it thinking, okay, I'm just gonna have a little bit, just gonna have a good time. But once you hit that point where you're not in control anymore, who knows what you're gonna do? You could drink all night. I've seen people pass out, black out, and it's just like no one wants to be that guy or that girl, that person.
Our faith teaches us that indulging in excessive behaviors can do harm to ourselves and others.
And urges us to take these things seriously, especially when we're teenagers.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church warns us that indulgences, such as the excessive use of alcohol, are grave.
They are actions that carry serious consequences to your body and your soul.
So, do you believe it is a sin to drink alcohol?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
I don't think it's a sin to drink alcohol as a teenager. I think you're just having fun.
I don't think it's a sin for teenagers to drink alcohol, in excess. If it's like a sip, I don't think it's really bad.
If you're not overdoing it.
If they want to drink when they're underage, most of them have the views of I can go sign up for the war when I'm 17 and get shot, but I can't have a sip of alcohol.
I don't believe it's a sin. I believe that they feel that they want to do something that they're not allowed to do, because most teenagers believe that.
If you drink with moderation, you're not making a sin as long as you don't get drunk.
Well, my friends anyway, I know, don't mean it to be any harm. They do it at home, and they're with other people that are there to make sure they're okay. So I don't think it's a sin.
I hope not, but it probably is, because I guess you're damaging the temple of your body, and it's just not good for you, I guess. God wouldn't want that.
It's a really big sin, and especially if you're a minor, you're not supposed to be doing that anyway.
I don't believe that God wants us to drink.
God tells you to do good, and drinking isn't good.
We're too young yet, and it's not good for your body.
I guess you could consider it a sin, because maybe the things that you do when you have alcohol in your system, and it could mess up your life, or you could do something wrong.
There's a reason that there's a certain age that you should be able to drink and buy alcohol.
It isn't a sin to drink the alcohol, because back in Jesus' time, he drank wine and stuff to the Last Supper. But if you drink it to the excess,
then it's like you're overdoing it. So you shouldn't do that because that's like damaging your body, and you know, it's like God's temple.
I don't personally think it's a sin to drink, but I do think it is a sin to break the law. And for us, like at this point in time, we're all underage and we shouldn't be drinking. We have to wait till we're 21 and respect authority.
Yeah, and also I think it could be a sin because God wants us to treat our bodies in a good way. He created us. We should respect that.
You drink to a big amount that you're forgetting where you're at, who you are, and you know, things like that. Then it's a sin.
Like 1 or 2 drinks is okay, but when you get to the point where you start getting wobbly and you can't drive, that's when it's way too much.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jess. You know, we're not 21 yet, so we should obey the law. And I also agree with you. You were saying that our bodies, you know, belong to God, so we should respect God and, you know, give him the respect that he deserves by being our creator and not using alcoholic substances.
I don't consider it a sin because there was actually a passage where Jesus turned water into wine. So, I mean, if he's turning water into wine, I don't consider it a sin unless you use it excessively where you put your own body in danger or another individual in danger.
God's creation is good, and many cultures have made and enjoyed wine and other alcoholic beverages for thousands of years.
What our church does say is 2 things. The first is that we are subject to the law.
When Jesus was asked whether the people should pay their taxes to the Romans, he replied that they should give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
This meant that we are asked to obey the laws of the land.
Second, alcohol is not evil in itself, but it can be a means to do evil to oneself or others, and so it needs to be treated as such.
Finally, our spotlight guest Dylan shares with us how living life to the fullest doesn't mean caving to peer pressure,
and how faith and prayer keeps him from falling into the temptation of drinking.
Living life to the fullest doesn't mean getting wasted. A lot of times Hollywood glamorizes it like you only live once, go out and party. I don't really believe in that at all. I believe that you only live once, and go out and party all the time is just a huge waste of your life. Once you start moving farther away from the person that you want to be and the person that God wants you to be, a little bit of you is just taken away. Pray for the strength to be able to live the kind of life you want to live, strength to break the habit. Praying in general makes me feel more adequate as a person. So praying definitely helps me stay away from drinking because the more you pray, the more you feel that close connection with God. If I didn't have my relationship with God, I don't know if it would be so easy to turn down things that I know aren't good for me. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, pray that you don't fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. It's so true because I can't tell you how many of my friends have gone to a party, planned on not drinking, and I'll see them a half hour later and they're already well on their way to being pretty drunk. When you're thinking about it and you've decided, I'm not gonna drink, that's the spirit being willing. And then right up at that point where the offer's on the table and you have to make the choice, a lot of times our bodies are weak. Jesus says, pray that you have the strength to overcome these temptations. I think that helps. Jesus talks about how our lives need moderation. That's a big part of staying in control of your own life. There's nothing like knowing that you have the ultimate support system in God and your faith. And once you have that strength behind you, it's just so much easier to say no and to help your friends.
I think something that has helped me over the years is that I remember that God loves me no matter what. Like, even if my friends tease me mercilessly for not drinking, I always can turn to God and he'll love me for that.
Yeah, I also really liked what Dylan was saying about when we're tempted with alcohol, we should pray to God for the strength to say no. Because when Jesus was in the desert, the devil kept tempting him with like bread and other things, and Jesus found it within himself to say no, so we should be able to find that strength too.
I totally agree because it's like we can think Jesus was in a similar situation, so if I pray to him, I can kind of relate to it, and then it'll help you get through the situation like you were saying.
And a lot of times having that conviction and really like stand out. Like for me, I'll say to my friends, like if I ever get invited to a party, I'll be like, all right, I'll go, but I'm gonna be that one guy in the corner drinking a root beer watching all of you. And it's kind of like you have that confidence, and when you voice your confidence, that confidence will stick with you.
It is truly important to know as Christians that God is always merciful, and we can turn away from bad habits and dangerous choices.
In his letter to the Romans, chapter 3, St. Paul writes,
All people have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
we can choose the right path, and Jesus always welcomes us back.
If your friend is struggling with alcohol dependence, or if you have started getting into the habit of drinking and you want to get out, talk to an adult you trust.
Go to the sacrament of reconciliation to find healing and strength.
And if you want to know where else to turn, you can call the National Drug and Alcohol Treatment Referral Routing Services at 1-800-662-HELP.
In what ways does your faith give you strength not to be lured into drinking?
We'd love to hear from you. Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And we'll leave you today with this final thought.
In July of 2008, Pope Benedict XVI visited a rehabilitation center for youth during his visit to Australia.
The Pope told the young people, the choice to abuse drugs or alcohol, to engage in criminal activity or self-harm, may have seemed at the time to offer a way out of a difficult or confusing situation.
You now know that, instead of bringing life, it brings death.
I wish to acknowledge your courage in choosing to turn back into the path of life.
May God help you to keep on the path and away from the lure of drinking.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.